What if your entire life shifts? Because of 60 minutes, not someday, not when conditions improve, not when everything feels perfect. Today, 1 hour, you already spend hours reacting, scrolling, answering, worrying, waiting for the right moment. But 1 deliberate hour, that changes everything. 1 hour of focused effort, 1 hour of protected attention, 1 hour where you choose growth over comfort. This is the moment everything changes for you. Not through luck, not through sudden genius, not through a miracle, through repetition, through discipline, through identity. Imagine who you become after 30 days of focused hours, after 90 days, after 1 year of showing up when it would be easier not to. Pause, feel that weight. You don't need more time. You need 1 protected hour. Stand up, decide. Your future is waiting for 60 minutes of courage. Chapter 1. The Power of 1 Hour. There is nothing dramatic about 1 hour. It does not announce itself. It does not demand applause. It does not look powerful on a calendar. 60 minutes, that is all. And yet, within those 60 minutes lives a force strong enough to redirect your entire life. Not through intensity alone, not through sudden bursts of effort, but through consistency. 1 focused hour a day is not a tactic. It is a decision about who you are becoming. Right now, time moves whether you direct it or not. Hours pass, days blur, weeks dissolve into routine. You wake, you respond, you react. Messages, obligations, noise. Distraction feels harmless. It feels normal, but normal does not build greatness. There are 2 ways to live. 1 is reactive, the other is intentional. Reactive living is easy to enter. It asks nothing of you except your attention. It pulls you from 1 small urgency to another. You scroll, you answer, you consume, you adjust. At the end of the day, you feel busy, but not built. Intentional living feels different. It feels quiet at first, almost invisible, because it begins with a single boundary. 1 hour, an hour that belongs to your growth, an hour that is not negotiated away, an hour that is not borrowed by the world. That hour becomes the line between who you were and who you are becoming. You may think 1 hour is too small to matter, but that thought belongs to your old distracted self, the version of you that waits for perfect conditions, the version that believes big change requires big time. It does not. It requires daily ownership. Consider a sculptor standing before a block of stone. The stone is massive, solid, unmoved. The sculptor does not strike it once and expect a masterpiece. He chisels again and again. Each strike looks small, insignificant, but with each controlled movement, the shape begins to emerge. Edges sharpen, lines form, detail appears. What once looked impossible slowly reveals intention. Your life is that stone. Your hour is the chisel. 1 session does not change everything, but 1 session begins everything. When you protect 1 hour a day, you are not just working. You are shaping. You are carving identity. You are telling yourself, my growth matters. And that message, repeated daily, rewires how you see yourself. Small, consistent action reshapes destiny. Destiny is not a lightning strike. It is a pattern built through repetition. 1 hour a day equals 7 hours a week. 7 hours a week equals over 300 hours a year. 300 hours of focused effort in one direction can transform a skill, a business, a body, a mind. 300 hours is not small. It is decisive. Imagine directing 300 hours toward one meaningful goal. Mastery grows there. Confidence grows there. Leadership grows there. This is the power of compounding focus. Your old distracted self lives in fragments, open tabs, half-finished ideas, interrupted thoughts. It jumps from task to task. It feels movement but lacks momentum. Momentum requires depth. Depth requires time without interruption. That is what one protected hour creates. Depth. During that hour, you are not reacting. You are building. You are not consuming. You are producing. You are not chasing validation. You are strengthening capacity. There will be resistance. Your mind will suggest postponing. It will offer comfort. It will present small alternatives that feel urgent. That voice is familiar. It is the voice of habit. But habit can be retrained. When you show up for your hour despite distraction, you send a powerful signal. I decide what matters. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Silence can feel heavy. Focus can feel demanding. But within that discomfort lies growth. Protect the hour. Say it clearly in your mind. Protect the hour. It is not selfish. It is strategic. You cannot lead others if you cannot lead your own time. Silence the noise. Notifications can wait. Opinions can wait. Trends can wait. Your future cannot. Start now, not next week, not after everything is organized. Start now. There is something powerful about beginning before you feel fully ready. It trains courage. The more you repeat this hour, the more it defines you. At first, you may still feel like someone trying to be disciplined, but over time something shifts. You stop trying. You become. You become the person who protects their growth. You become the person who finishes what they start. You become the person who does not negotiate with excuses. That identity builds confidence that cannot be borrowed. Confidence is not built from praise. It is built from proof. Each completed hour is proof. Proof that you can commit. Proof that you can focus. Proof that you can follow through. Your old distracted self begins to weaken, not through force, through replacement. Every day you choose intention over impulse. You strengthen a new standard. There will still be noise around you. The world will not suddenly become quiet, but you will. You will carry calm authority because you know your hour is secure. That security changes how you move through the rest of the day. You respond instead of react. You decide instead of drift. You plan instead of postpone. 1 hour influences the other 23 because discipline does not stay contained. It spreads. It sharpens your awareness. It improves your patience. It increases your resilience. When challenges arise, you do not collapse. You have trained. You have practiced. You have shown yourself consistency. That inner credibility is powerful. Imagine yourself 12 months from now, not dramatically different overnight, but gradually refined. Sharper thinking, stronger habits, clearer direction. Your presence feels steady. Your words carry weight. Your actions align with your goals. Because for 12 months, you protected 1 hour. You chose depth over distraction. You chose growth over noise. You did not wait for motivation. You built discipline. See that version of yourself clearly. Calm, focused, unstoppable. That future is not created in a single breakthrough moment. It is created in repeated hours, repeated decisions, repeated commitment. Protect the hour. Silence the noise. Start now. There will be days when energy feels low. Show up anyway. There will be days when distractions feel louder. Guard the boundary. There will be days when progress feels slow. Trust the process. Remember the sculptor. He does not abandon the stone because the form is not yet visible. He trusts the strikes. Each deliberate movement carries intention. So does each hour you protect. Over time, something remarkable happens. You stop measuring progress only by results. You begin measuring it by identity. Are you consistent? Yes. Are you focused? Yes. Are you reliable to yourself? Yes. That internal alignment builds a quiet strength. You do not need constant validation. You have evidence. And with evidence comes leadership. Leadership begins with self-command. If you cannot protect 60 minutes, how will you protect a vision? If you cannot silence the noise, how will you guide others through chaos? This hour is training, not just for skill, for character. Every day you honor it, you reinforce the belief. I am becoming the person who wins. Winning is not an event. It is a pattern of daily choices. Small, consistent action reshapes destiny. 1 hour, that is your tool. That is your training ground. That is your turning point. The world may not notice at first, but you will. And that is enough. Protect the hour. Silence the noise. Start now, because this is only the beginning. And what you build in this hour will prepare you for the next. Chapter 2, Discipline over Mood. There will be days when you feel powerful, clear, driven, unstoppable. And there will be days when you do not. Days when energy feels lower, when distractions seem louder, when comfort whispers gently. This is normal. Mood fluctuates. It rises. It dips. It responds to sleep, stress, environment, uncertainty. Mood is weather. It changes without asking, but discipline is climate. It is stable. It is chosen. It is built. Success does not belong to the motivated. It belongs to the consistent. There is a difference. Motivation waits for a feeling. Discipline creates a standard. When you rely on mood, you give authority to something unstable. When you rely on discipline, you give authority to your decision. You already know this. Think of the athlete who trains for years before the spotlight ever appears. Early mornings, empty stadiums, repetition without applause. Do you think that athlete feels inspired every single day? No. Some mornings feel heavy. Some sessions feel difficult. Some drills feel repetitive. But the athlete trains anyway, because training is not emotional. It is contractual. There is an agreement between the athlete and the future version of themselves. I will show up whether I feel like it or not. That agreement builds greatness. You are no different. You have a goal, a vision, a direction you want your life to move toward. But the path to that vision will not be paved with perfect emotional readiness. There will be friction. There will be uncertainty. There will be moments when waiting feels easier than acting. This is where discipline separates you from the average pattern. Mood says not today. Discipline says today. Mood says maybe later. Discipline says now. Mood negotiates. Discipline executes. The power of your 1 hour is not in how inspired you feel during it. The power is in whether you protect it regardless of how you feel. If you only act when you are excited, your progress will be inconsistent. If you act when you are calm, tired, uncertain, and still committed, your progress becomes unstoppable. This is not about forcing yourself harshly. It is about understanding reality. Emotions are temporary. Identity is permanent. When you shift from "I work when I feel motivated" to "I work because this is who I am," everything changes. You do not wait. You move. Read that again internally. You do not wait. You move. There is strength in that sentence. It removes dependency on circumstance. It removes dependency on mood. It places control back into your hand. The athlete does not ask, "Do I feel like training?" The athlete asks, "What must be done?" That question alone transforms performance. Ask yourself daily, "What must be done in this hour?" Then do it. No excuses, no delays. Execute. Those words are not aggressive. They are clarifying. Excuses drain energy. Delays weaken momentum. Execution builds strength. Every time you choose action over hesitation, you reinforce discipline. And discipline stabilizes your life. When everything around you feels uncertain, your routine becomes your anchor. When emotions fluctuate, your commitment remains firm. You may not control how you feel, but you always control how you respond. That response defines your identity. Consider again the athlete. There are competitions where performance matters, but there are thousands of hours before that moment where no one is watching. That is where character forms. Character is built in ordinary hours, when no applause exists, when no reward is visible, when no one would blame you for skipping, and yet you show up. That repetition sends a powerful message to yourself. I can trust me. Self-trust is one of the strongest foundations of leadership. If you cannot rely on yourself when emotions fluctuate, how will you lead under pressure? Leadership demands stability. Stability comes from discipline. Discipline says, "I show up," even when the day feels long, even when progress feels slow, even when mood feels quiet. You show up, and something powerful happens over time. The action itself begins to generate energy. Momentum creates motivation. Movement builds clarity. The very act of starting shifts your state. Have you noticed how resistance fades once you begin? The hardest moment is often the first step, but once you engage, focus sharpens, confidence rises, energy stabilizes. That is because action reduces internal friction. Waiting increases it. When you wait for the perfect feeling, doubt grows. When you move, doubt weakens. You do not need perfect emotion to begin. You need a decision. Make the decision. Protect the hour. Enter it regardless of mood. This is not about ignoring your humanity. It is about mastering it. You can acknowledge fatigue and still act. You can acknowledge uncertainty and still move. You can acknowledge distraction and still focus. That is maturity. That is power. Your old distracted self relied on feeling. It chased excitement. It avoided discomfort. It waited for certainty. But that version of you was inconsistent. Inconsistency creates frustration. You are stepping beyond that pattern. You are becoming someone stable, someone reliable, someone who honors commitments regardless of emotional weather. Imagine the difference 1 year from now. If you act only when motivated, your results will reflect fluctuation. If you act through discipline, your results will reflect consistency. Consistency builds mastery. Mastery builds confidence. Confidence builds leadership. And leadership builds influence. All of it begins with one decision repeated daily. You do not wait. You move. There will be moments when you want to postpone your hour. Pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this who I am becoming? If the answer is no, then stand up. No excuses. No delays. Execute. It does not require drama. It requires clarity. You made a commitment to yourself. Honor it. Each time you do, you strengthen a new identity. You are no longer someone driven by mood. You are someone guided by principle. Principle outlasts emotion. Principle creates structure. Structure creates freedom. Because once discipline becomes automatic, you stop debating. Debate wastes energy. Decision preserves it. There is freedom in knowing that the hour is non-negotiable. You do not argue with yourself. You begin. That simplicity reduces mental strain. And over time, it becomes part of who you are. When others hesitate, you act. When others postpone, you prepare. When others fluctuate, you stabilize. Not because you feel superior, but because you chose discipline. You may still feel tired some days. That is human, but you are not governed by tiredness. You are governed by commitment. That distinction matters. Commitment is deeper than emotion. It is a promise to your future. Imagine your future self looking back at this moment. Would they thank you for waiting or for acting? You know the answer. So move, not aggressively, not recklessly, but decisively. You do not need fireworks to begin. You need focus. When you sit down for your hour on a day you do not feel inspired, something extraordinary happens. You prove to yourself that your goals matter more than your mood. That proof builds self-respect. Self-respect builds strength. Strength builds resilience. And resilience carries you through difficulty. There will be seasons in life when external pressure increases, when responsibilities multiply, when distractions intensify. If discipline is already established, you remain steady. If it is not, you feel overwhelmed. Today is your opportunity to strengthen that foundation. You are training consistency. You are training stability. You are training identity. You do not wait. You move. Say it internally. You do not wait. You move. Let that become your rhythm. When hesitation appears, you respond with action. When doubt surfaces, you respond with commitment. When mood dips, you respond with discipline. This is not harsh. It is empowering because it reminds you that you are in control. Your emotions are signal. They are not commands. You choose the command. No excuses, no delays. Execute. And once the hour is complete, something else happens. Relief. Not the relief of avoidance, but the relief of integrity. You did what you said you would do. That feeling is powerful. It builds quiet pride. It builds momentum for tomorrow. It builds the belief, I am capable. And that belief compounds. Just like your hours, just like your effort, just like your growth, there will come a time when discipline feels natural, when beginning your hour requires no debate, when showing up feels automatic. That is the moment identity has shifted. You are no longer trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You are no longer hoping to be consistent. You are consistent. And in that identity lies freedom. Freedom from emotional dependency. Freedom from hesitation. Freedom from delay. Success belongs to disciplined action, not emotional readiness. Remember that. Carry it into every hour. When you feel strong, act. When you feel quiet, act. When you feel uncertain, act. Action stabilizes you. Action shapes you. Action builds you. Listener, pause for a moment. Breathe in slowly. Feel your posture. Feel your intention. Now say it clearly, either aloud or within. I am ready, not because you feel perfect, but because you decided. And that decision is stronger than any mood. Stand up. Protect the hour. Silence the debate. Move, because discipline over mood is not just a strategy. It is the foundation of who you are becoming. And this is only the beginning of that transformation. Chapter 3. Identity before results. Most people chase results. They chase numbers, recognition, titles, outcomes they can point to and say, now I have made it. But results are fragile when they are not supported by identity. You can achieve something once and still lose it. You can reach a milestone and still feel unstable. You can gain success and not know how to sustain it, because results without identity are temporary. If you want lasting transformation, you must reverse the order. Identity first, results second. You are not building results. You are building identity. Read that slowly in your mind. You are not building results. You are building identity. Results are evidence. Identity is the source. Imagine a tree. From the outside, you see fruit. You see branches. You see leaves reaching toward the sky. But what determines the health of that tree? The roots. Hidden, unseen, quiet, roots before fruit. If the roots are weak, the fruit will be inconsistent. If the roots are deep, the fruit will be abundant. Your identity is the root system of your life. Your habits, your standards, your mindset, your self-perception, these are roots. The visible achievements are fruit. Many people try to hang fruit on weak roots. They try to perform confidence without building discipline. They try to display leadership without mastering self-control. They try to claim success without strengthening character. It never lasts because the foundation does not support the outcome. Change who you are before chasing what you want. This is where internal conflict begins. Your old identity is comfortable. It knows your current limits. It knows your current routines. It knows how to keep you predictable. When you begin to stretch beyond it, resistance appears, not because you are incapable, but because identity resists replacement. Your old self whispers familiar thoughts. This is too ambitious. This is not who we are. This is uncomfortable. That voice is not your enemy. It is simply the past trying to remain relevant. But you are not here to remain who you were. You are here to evolve. You cannot think like yesterday and expect tomorrow to change. You must shift internally before anything external moves. Think like a leader. What does that mean? It means you stop waiting for instruction. You stop blaming circumstance. You stop shrinking your vision to fit comfort. Leaders do not react to life. They respond with intention. They ask, who must I become to handle this level? When challenges appear, they do not collapse into doubt. They rise into responsibility. Think like a leader, even when no one is watching, even when no title has been given. Leadership begins privately. It begins in how you speak to yourself, in how you manage your time, in how you handle frustration. You do not need external validation to practice internal leadership. Act like the future you. This is not pretending. It is training. Imagine the version of you who has already achieved what you desire. How do they wake up? How do they prepare? How do they respond to difficulty? Do they delay? Or do they decide? Do they hesitate? Or do they execute? If you wait to become disciplined after success, you will never sustain it. Discipline must come before achievement. Confidence must come before recognition. Courage must come before reward. Act like the future you, not occasionally, daily. Your behaviors must align with the identity you are installing. If you want to become someone who leads, you must practice clarity. If you want to become someone who wins, you must practice consistency. If you want to become someone who commands respect, you must practice self-respect. Identity is not declared once. It is demonstrated repeatedly. There will be tension during this shift. You will notice gaps between who you are and who you are becoming. That gap is growth. Do not fear it. When you feel discomfort, ask yourself, is this resistance or evolution? Often it is evolution. Your old identity prefers certainty. It prefers familiar pattern. It prefers staying within known boundary. But growth requires stepping into unknown territory, and that requires courage. You are not abandoning yourself. You are upgrading yourself. The process is gradual. At first, you may still feel like someone trying to change, but over time, consistency transforms effort into identity. You stop saying, I am trying to be disciplined. You start saying, I am disciplined. You stop saying, I want to lead. You start saying, I lead. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior reinforces identity. This loop is powerful. If you identify as someone who finishes what they start, you finish. If you identify as someone who protects their growth, you protect it. If you identify as someone who rises under pressure, you rise. The world responds to who you believe you are, not who you hope to be. Imagine yourself 12 months from now. See it clearly. Your posture is different. Your focus is sharper. Your decisions are quicker. You do not hesitate over small distractions. You do not argue with your standards. You move with clarity. That version of you did not appear randomly. They were built built through daily alignment between identity and action, built through choosing discipline over comfort, built through thinking like a leader before having authority. Feel that future version. Calm, grounded, capable. That is not fantasy. That is potential, but only if identity shifts now. You cannot wait for results to confirm your worth. You must act from worth before results arrive. Your old identity might say, I will change after I succeed. Your new identity says, I will succeed because I have changed. That is the difference. Results follow identity. They do not create it. Every time you protect your hour, you are strengthening roots. Every time you act like the future you deepen stability. Every time you choose growth over impulse, you expand capacity. There will be days when progress is invisible. Trust the roots. Roots grow underground, silently, steadily, without applause. Then one day fruit appears, and others call it sudden success. But you will know, it was not sudden. It was cultivated. Think like a leader. Act like the future you. And when doubt appears, remember this. You are not chasing outcomes. You are installing identity. And once identity is installed, outcomes are inevitable. This transformation does not end here. It deepens, because as identity strengthens, something else becomes clear. The loudest growth does not happen in public. It happens in silence. Chapter 4, Silence Builds Strength. There is a quiet power in restraint. In a world that rewards announcement, there is strength in silence. Not silence born of fear, silence born of focus. Quiet effort multiplies power. When you begin to grow, there is a temptation to speak about it, to share plans, to describe intentions, to seek validation for direction. It feels satisfying to announce change, but announcement is not accomplishment. Words can create the illusion of progress. Silence creates real progress. When you broadcast goals too early, something subtle happens. The brain receives a small reward. Recognition feels like achievement, and that reward can weaken urgency. You feel acknowledged before the work is complete. Strength grows in silence because silence removes performance pressure. It allows you to build without comparison. It allows you to refine without distraction. It allows you to struggle without commentary. When no one is watching, effort becomes pure. You work for growth, not applause. There is discipline in choosing not to speak, in choosing not to reveal every plan, in choosing to let results emerge naturally. This is delayed gratification in action. You delay praise. You delay recognition. You delay explanation because you are committed to substance over appearance. Work quietly. Say it internally. Work quietly. This does not mean isolation from support. It means you do not depend on external validation to fuel action. You know what you are building. That is enough. In silence, concentration deep. Energy is not scattered across opinion. It is directed toward execution. You protect your hour. You protect your intention. You protect your vision. When others debate, you prepare. When others announce, you refine. When others seek attention, you seek mastery. Calmly, steadily, silence sharpens discipline. Because when no one knows your exact target, you remove pressure to impress. You replace it with pressure to improve. There is freedom in that shift. Freedom to fail privately. Freedom to adjust. Freedom to grow without external expectation. The strongest foundations are built underground, like roots before fruit, like steel forged in controlled heat, like character shaped in unseen hours. Silence builds internal confidence. You no longer need to convince others of your potential. You are busy developing it. There will be moments when you want to explain yourself, when you want to declare your ambition. Pause. Ask yourself, is this strengthening my focus? If not, return to the work. Work quietly. Let results speak. Results are undeniable. They do not require explanation. They do not need defense. They stand. When achievement emerges from silence, it carries weight because it was earned without noise. You begin to move differently, more composed, less reactive, more intentional, less performative. This composure builds authority, not loud authority, quiet authority, the kind that does not chase recognition, the kind that commands respect without asking. Strength grows in silence because discipline thrives in focus. Focus thrives in stillness. Stillness requires boundary. Boundaries require courage. You may notice others seeking constant validation. That path drains energy. Your path conserves it. When you resist the urge to broadcast, you preserve momentum. You preserve mystery. You preserve intensity. Come, build tension, then act. Silently, this rhythm becomes powerful. You prepare without announcement. You execute without spectacle. You refine without complaint. And over time, something shifts. Your identity becomes anchored, not in how others see you, but in who you know you are. This is mature strength. Strength that does not depend on applause. Strength that does not fade when attention shifts. You become grounded, focused, certain. Let results speak. When fruit appears on the tree, no explanation is needed. The roots did their work in silence. Your habits do the same. Your discipline does the same. Your growth does the same. There is a time to speak, but first there must be substance. Build substance, protect silence, execute consistently, and when the moment comes for your work to be visible, it will carry depth because it was not rushed. It was cultivated. Work quietly, let results speak. The deeper you go into silence, the stronger you become. And as your strength grows unseen, the world will eventually notice what you never needed to announce. But before that moment arrives, there is still more to build, more to refine, more to master, and it begins again with the next protected hour. Chapter 5, Focus is your superpower. Focus is rare, not because it is impossible, not because it is complicated, because it is protected by almost no one. Your attention is the most valuable asset you possess, more valuable than time alone, more valuable than talent, more valuable than opportunity, because attention directs time. Attention sharpens talent. Attention multiplies opportunity. Attention is currency. Every moment you spend it, you invest in something. The question is simple. Where are you investing? In distraction, in reaction, in endless fragments of information, or in depth? 1 hour of deep focus creates massive leverage, not shallow effort, not divided attention, not partial commitment. Deep focus. There is a difference between sunlight and a laser beam. Sunlight is powerful. It lights the entire sky. It touches everything, but it does not cut steel. A laser beam is focused, concentrated, directed with precision, and it can slice through metal. Your attention works the same way. Scattered attention warms everything. Focused attention transforms something. If your energy is spread across too many directions, progress feels slow. If your energy is concentrated in one direction, progress accelerates. You do not need more hours. You need concentrated hours. You do not need more effort. You need focused effort. Deep focus requires decision because distraction is always available. Messages, notifications, opinions, endless updates. They compete for your awareness. They promise urgency, but urgency is not always importance. When you protect your hour and enter deep focus, something powerful happens. Your mind sharpens, thoughts align, clarity increases, complex problems begin to untangle, ideas connect, patterns emerge. This level of thinking is impossible when attention is fragmented. You protect your attention. That is identity now, not because it sounds impressive, but because you understand its value. You do not casually give away what builds your future. If attention is currency, then distraction is silent spending. Small withdrawals, frequent interruptions, tiny leaks that feel harmless. But over time, they drain momentum. Protecting focus feels uncomfortable at first. Silence can feel intense. Stillness can feel unfamiliar. Without constant stimulation, your mind may resist. But stay inside the hour. Stay inside the depth, because on the other side of distraction lies clarity. On the other side of noise lies power. When you focus deeply, you train your brain to sustain effort. You increase cognitive endurance. You increase precision. You increase quality. You stop rushing. You start refining. And refinement separates ordinary work from exceptional work. Most people operate at surface level. They skim tasks. They multitask constantly. They divide attention across multiple directions. It feels productive, but it lacks depth. Depth builds mastery. Mastery builds leverage. Leverage multiplies impact. 1 hour of true focus can accomplish what 3 distracted hours cannot. Because during deep focus, you eliminate switching costs. You eliminate hesitation. You eliminate mental clutter. You become immersed. Immersion builds flow. Flow builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. And confidence builds courage. This is not just about productivity. It is about identity. You are someone who protects your attention. You are someone who values depth. You are someone who understands that focus shapes destiny. There will be moments when distraction calls loudly. You will feel the urge to check something, to respond immediately, to break concentration for a brief moment. Pause. Ask yourself, is this strengthening my future? If not, return to the task. Stand firm. Block distractions. Guard your future. These words are not dramatic. They are deliberate. Stand firm. When discomfort appears, when boredom whispers, when restlessness rises, stand firm. Block distractions. Physically, mentally, emotionally. Close the unnecessary tabs. Silence the unnecessary alerts. Create an environment that supports your focus. Guard your future, because that is what you are doing. When you defend your attention, you defend your potential. This is your first transformation peak. Energy rises. Intensity sharpens. You feel resistance trying to pull you away, but you do not yield. Stand firm. Block distractions. Guard your future. Say it again internally. Stand firm. Block distractions. Guard your future. This is discipline in motion. This is leadership over self. This is power. And then relief. You settle back into the hour, breathing steady, mind clear, confidence calm. You realize something important. Distraction is loud, but focus is stronger. Focus does not shout. It builds silently, consistently, unstoppably. Imagine yourself 12 months from now. You have practiced deep focus daily. Your thinking is sharper. Your execution is cleaner. Your results reflect precision. When others struggle to concentrate for 10 minutes, you sustain depth for 60. That difference compounds. You complete projects faster. You learn skills deeper. You solve problems more efficiently. You speak with clarity. You lead with intention. Because your mind has been trained. Training requires repetition. Every hour of deep focus strengthens neural pathways. It teaches your brain that depth is safe, that concentration is normal, that distraction is optional. Over time, something shifts. You crave depth. You feel uncomfortable with scattered thinking. You recognize wasted attention instantly. You redirect quickly. That is growth. Focus becomes a superpower because it is rare. Rare skills create uncommon results. When you can sit with complexity without escaping, you gain advantage. When you can analyze without reacting, you gain clarity. When you can create without interruption, you gain mastery. Protecting focus is not isolation from the world. It is preparation to engage the world effectively. During your hour, you go inward. You refine. You strengthen. After your hour, you return outward. More composed, more decisive, more capable. Focus is leverage. Leverage means small effort produces large outcome. A single hour of deep study builds understanding that accelerates learning. A single hour of deep planning prevents weeks of confusion. A single hour of deep training strengthens skill that multiplies opportunity. This is not theory. It is reality. The quality of your attention determines the quality of your output. If your attention is shallow, your results are shallow. If your attention is deep, your results are deep. You are not here for surface results. You are here for mastery, and mastery demands immersion. There will be days when focus feels easier. There will be days when it feels harder. Commit regardless. Consistency strengthens capacity. At first, 1 hour of deep focus may feel demanding. Over time, it becomes natural, then powerful, then transformative. You begin to notice something else. When you protect your attention in your hour, you begin protecting it outside of it. You scroll less mindlessly. You react less impulsively. You choose more intentionally. Your entire life becomes more deliberate because attention directs behavior. Behavior directs outcomes. Outcomes reinforce identity. You are someone who focuses. You are someone who builds. You are someone who protects your attention. There is calm confidence in that. Not arrogance, not superiority, just certainty. Certainty that you can enter depth. Certainty that you can create value. Certainty that you can execute with precision. When challenges appear, you do not panic. You analyze. You break them down. You apply focused effort because your mind has been trained to concentrate under pressure. That training began with 1 hour, one protected hour, one disciplined boundary. Stand firm. Block distractions. Guard your future. Let those words echo when temptation appears. They are anchors. Anchors keep ships steady in turbulent water. Focus keeps you steady in a distracted world. The world will continue to compete for your attention. That will not change, but your response can. You choose depth, you choose clarity, you choose leverage. And as you continue building this skill, your confidence rises quietly. You know you can enter any task and give it full presence. That ability separates you. It gives you an edge. It creates momentum. It multiplies results. Focus is your superpower, not because it is flashy, but because it is foundational. It strengthens every other skill you possess. It sharpens every effort you apply. It accelerates every goal you pursue. Protect it, train it, honor it, and as this chapter closes, understand something important. Your focus does not only shape what you do, it shapes who you become. And the deeper your focus grows, the more unstoppable your identity becomes. Now breathe, return to calm, carry this strength forward, because the hour you protect today is shaping the leader you will become tomorrow. Chapter 6. The hour that scares you. There is always one task you avoid, one skill you postpone, one conversation you delay, one practice you promise to begin tomorrow. It is not random. It is the edge of your growth. Every day you protect your hour, you face a choice. You can use it for what feels familiar, or you can use it for what stretches you. The familiar feels safe. The stretch feels uncomfortable. Growth lives in the stretch. There is a reason the hard thing pulls at your attention. It represents expansion. It represents capability you have not yet claimed. It represents a version of you that is stronger than your current comfort. But comfort negotiates. Comfort says later. Comfort says not today. Comfort says you deserve ease. Comfort is not your enemy, but it is not your leader. If you always choose ease, you remain the same. If you choose challenge, you evolve. Use your hour for the hard thing, not occasionally, deliberately. The task that demands focus, the practice that exposes weakness, the effort that tests patience, that is where transformation waits. There will be resistance. You will feel it in subtle ways. A tightening in your chest, a quick urge to switch tasks, a thought that suggests something easy. That voice speaks quickly. It sounds logical. It sounds protective. But listen closely. It is fear disguised as practicality. Fear does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers reasonable suggestion. You can do that tomorrow. You are not fully prepared yet. Start when conditions improve. That is the old identity trying to preserve itself. Because growth requires change, and change threatens familiarity. Imagine sitting down at the start of your hour. The hard thing waits. You feel hesitation. Your mind begins its conversation. Maybe start with something simpler. You need more research first. This feels uncomfortable. Pause. Do not react. Observe. You are not your hesitation. You are the one who decides. Internal resistance is not proof of incapability. It is proof of expansion. Every time you approach the edge of growth, fear appears. Not to stop you, but to test you. Will you retreat, or will you advance? Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action despite fear. Feel that clearly. Courage is not a loud declaration. It is a quiet decision repeated daily. Use your hour for the hard thing, because the hard thing sharpens you. It strengthens discipline. It deepens resilience. It increases capacity. When you avoid discomfort, your world stays small. When you face discomfort, your world expands. Think about a skill you want to master. The early stages are awkward, imperfect, slow. Mistakes appear. Confidence wavers, but repetition builds strength, and strength builds confidence. If you quit during discomfort, you never reach mastery. If you stay during discomfort, mastery becomes inevitable. This is the hour that scares you, the hour that demands vulnerability, the hour that reveals where you must grow. And that is precisely why it matters. You may feel exposed. You may feel uncertain. You may feel unpolished. That is training. Training is not designed to flatter you. It is designed to build you. When you choose the hard task, you send a message to yourself. I value growth more than comfort. That message rewires identity. Your old self preferred ease. Your new self chooses expansion. You are not reckless. You are deliberate. You do not chase pain for drama. You choose challenge for development. There is dignity in that choice. Sit with the discomfort. Let it exist without panic. Notice the urge to escape. Notice the temptation to postpone. And then decide. Do it anyway. Let those words echo clearly. Do it anyway, even when it feels imperfect, even when doubt lingers, even when fear speaks softly. Do it anyway. Feel the fear. Do not suppress it. Do not deny it. Acknowledge it. Yes, this makes me nervous. Yes, this stretches me. Yes, this challenges me. Feel the fear. And then move. Movement dissolves hesitation. Action weakens doubt. Engagement builds clarity. Move. There is power in that single word. Move. Not tomorrow. Now. This is your crescendo. Energy rises. Heart steady. Breath controlled. Resistance loud. But you respond. Do it anyway. Feel the fear. Move. Say it again internally. Do it anyway. Feel the fear. Move. This is the moment identity shifts. You are no longer someone who waits for confidence. You are someone who builds confidence through action. Confidence does not arrive first. It follows courage. Courage is built through repetition. Every time you choose the hard thing, your tolerance for discomfort increases. Your capacity expands. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once felt impossible becomes achievable. Growth recalibrates your baseline, but only if you lean into it. Imagine your future self looking back at this hour. They remember the hesitation. They remember the fear. They remember the decision. And they are grateful because this hour built their strength. This hour built their skill. This hour built their leadership. Leadership requires comfort with discomfort. Leaders make decisions without complete certainty. Leaders step forward without full clarity. Leaders act while others hesitate. If you cannot face small discomfort privately, how will you face larger challenges publicly? This hour is training for that future. You are building courage, not theoretical courage, practical courage, the kind that sits down and works when it would be easier to avoid. The kind that speaks when silence would feel safer. The kind that practices when quitting would feel simpler. There will be days when fear feels heavier. Do not interpret that as weakness. Interpret it as growth. Growth feels heavy at first because it stretches limits. Limits resist change, but limits can be moved. You move them by acting. You move them by staying. You move them by refusing to retreat. There is a conversation happening inside you. The old self says, stay comfortable. The new self says, advance. Listen carefully. Which voice will you strengthen today? The one you act on grows louder. If you retreat, fear gains authority. If you advance, courage gains authority. Authority becomes identity. Identity becomes habit. Habit becomes destiny. Use your hour for the hard thing. Even if progress is slow. Even if results are not immediate. Even if mastery feels distant. Stay, work, refine. The sculptor does not abandon the stone because the first strikes look rough. The athlete does not abandon training because the first attempts are imperfect. You do not abandon growth because it feels uncomfortable. You lean in, you focus, you commit. This is not about punishing yourself. It is about strengthening yourself. There is pride in finishing something that once intimidated you. There is power in realizing you did not quit. There is confidence in knowing you faced fear and moved forward. That confidence compounds. Each courageous hour makes the next one easier. Fear loses intensity. Skill increases. Identity stabilizes. You begin to expect growth from yourself. You no longer search for the easiest path. You choose the meaningful one. And meaning fuels endurance. Ask yourself now, what is the hard thing? Name it clearly in your mind. The project, the skill, the conversation, the practice. Do not avoid naming it. Clarity removes excuses. Once it is named, the decision becomes simple. Do it anyway. Feel the fear. Move. The first step may be small. That is enough. Momentum builds from motion. You do not need perfection. You need engagement. Engagement builds progress. Progress builds belief. Belief builds momentum. And momentum builds transformation. When the hour ends, something shifts inside you. You feel stronger. Not because the task was easy, but because you did not retreat. You showed up. You stayed. You acted. That builds self-trust. Self-trust is powerful. When you trust yourself to face discomfort, your world expands. You stop limiting your goals based on fear. You stop shrinking your ambition to match comfort. You begin setting higher standards because you know you can rise to them. Pause now. Breathe deeply. Feel your posture. Feel your strength. Say it clearly. I rise. Not because fear disappeared, but because you moved anyway. I rise because growth matters more than comfort. I rise because discipline directs your life. Let that affirmation anchor you. There will be many hours ahead. Some will feel smooth, some will feel heavy, but this chapter teaches you something essential. The hour that scares you is the hour that shapes you. The hour that stretches you is the hour that strengthens you. The hour that tests you is the hour that transforms you. Do not run from it. Step into it. Stand firm. Choose courage. And as you carry this discipline forward, you begin to understand something deeper. The more you embrace discomfort privately, the more unshakable you become publicly. And that realization opens the door to an even greater level of strength waiting ahead. Chapter 7: Compound Growth. Greatness rarely arrives in dramatic waves. It builds in layers, quiet layers, steady layers, layers so subtle at first that you barely notice the shift. And then one day, you look back and realize something undeniable. You are no longer who you were. Repetition creates unstoppable momentum, not intensity alone, not inspiration alone. Repetition, small actions repeated daily, carry more power than massive effort applied occasionally. This is the mathematics of consistency. 1 hour does not look revolutionary, but 1 hour repeated 30 times changes capacity. 1 hour repeated 90 times changes identity. 1 hour repeated for a year changes destiny. Let's speak clearly. 7 focused hours a week equals over 300 hours a year. 300 hours directed at one skill can elevate you beyond average. 300 hours of disciplined effort can move you into mastery territory. Most people never apply 300 focused hours to one meaningful direction. They scatter their time. They divide their attention. They restart repeatedly. Momentum never forms. Momentum requires continuity. You do not need to be extraordinary today. You need to be consistent today. Stack the days. That is your mission. Stack the days. 1 hour, then another, then another. No drama, no emotional speeches, just repetition. Imagine a snowball resting at the top of a hill. At first it is small, almost unimpressive. It begins to roll, slowly, deliberately. With each rotation, it gathers more snow, more mass, more weight, more force. It does not explode into size instantly. It compounds. Your growth works the same way. Day 1 feels small. Day 2 feels similar. Day 7 begins to create rhythm. Day 30 builds visible momentum. Day 90 shifts identity. Stack the days. Win the hour. The mathematics is simple. Consistency builds momentum. Momentum reduces resistance. Reduced resistance increases output. Increased output accelerates growth. This is how compound effect works. Your old self sought quick transformation, immediate results, instant validation. But compound growth requires patience. It demands delayed gratification. It asks you to trust repetition before you see dramatic evidence. 30 days from now, you will feel different, more stable, more disciplined. Your focus will require less effort. Your resistance will weaken because you built rhythm. Visualize yourself after 30 days. You wake with clearer intention. You enter your hour without debate. Your skill has sharpened slightly. Your confidence has strengthened subtly. Nothing dramatic, but noticeable. You feel aligned. That is early momentum. Now imagine 90 days. 3 months of stacking hours. 3 months of refusing to quit. 3 months of repetition. Your capacity has expanded. Tasks that once felt difficult now feel manageable. Your thinking is sharper. Your discipline is automatic. Others may begin to notice change, but the real change is internal. You trust yourself more. You respect your commitment more. You see progress, and progress fuels belief. Stack the days. Win the hour. There will be days when progress feels invisible. Trust the mathematics. Compound growth does not reward impatience. It rewards persistence. The snowball does not grow because it demands growth. It grows because it keeps moving. If you stop, momentum dissolves. If you continue, momentum multiplies. Your 1 hour is motion. Your repetition is rotation. Your discipline is gravity pulling the snowball forward. And once momentum becomes strong, something shifts. What once required effort begins to require less. Habits solidify. Identity stabilizes. Confidence increases. At that point, you are not pushing growth. Growth carries you. This is the beauty of compound effort. Early stages feel heavy. Later stages feel powerful. Most people quit during the early stage. They stop before momentum builds. You will not, because you understand repetition creates unstoppable force. There will be boredom. There will be monotony. There will be days when you question progress. Stay, stack the days. Win the hour. When doubt appears, zoom out. Look at the larger timeline. Ask yourself, where will I be if I continue for 1 year? Then ask, where will I be if I stop? The difference is massive, not because of one day, because of accumulated days. Compound growth is not emotional. It is mathematical. Small increments multiplied over time create exponential change. You do not see it immediately, but it is happening beneath the surface. Skills improve subtly. Confidence strengthens quietly. Resilience deepens gradually. Momentum is invisible until it is undeniable. Imagine your future self at the end of 1 year. 365 hours invested. 365 decisions honored. 365 moments where you chose consistency over impulse. You are sharper, calmer, stronger. That version of you is not lucky. They are compounded. You built them hour by hour. Stack the days. Win the hour. Let those commands become rhythm. No overthinking. No overanalyzing. Just repetition. When you feel tempted to skip 1 day, remember this. Compound growth punishes inconsistency. 1 missed day becomes 2. 2 becomes 5. Momentum weakens. Protect the chain. If a day feels imperfect, complete the hour anyway. Even imperfect effort counts. Because consistency matters more than intensity. Repetition builds identity. Identity builds behavior. Behavior builds results. Results reinforce identity. This cycle is powerful. You are building it intentionally. There will be moments when acceleration becomes visible, when progress suddenly feels dramatic. But that sudden moment was built slowly, quietly, patiently. Trust the snowball. Trust the mathematics. Trust the repetition. Stack the days. Win the hour. And as momentum strengthens, something new emerges. Confidence rooted in evidence. Not hope, not hype. Evidence. You showed up. Again, and again, and again. That proof cannot be argued away. That proof creates calm power. This is compound growth. This is unstoppable momentum. And it prepares you for something deeper. Because once growth accelerates externally, you must be strong internally, which leads you into the next evolution. Mental fortitude. Chapter 8. Mental fortitude. The world will test you, not because it is cruel, but because pressure reveals strength. If you want to lead, you must strengthen your mind before pressure arrives. Mental fortitude is not built during crisis. It is built before crisis. During your protected hour, you are not only building skill, you are building resilience. Resilience is the ability to remain steady when circumstances shift, to remain composed when uncertainty appears, to remain focused when emotion rises. This training happens quietly, inside your hour, when frustration appears and you stay, when boredom surfaces and you continue, when doubt whispers and you persist. Each of these moments strengthens mental muscle. Mental resilience is repetition under resistance. You do not wait for life to test you. You prepare. Visualization is powerful. Close your eyes for a moment in your hour. Imagine facing a difficult conversation. Imagine handling unexpected pressure. Imagine receiving criticism. See yourself calm. Hear your voice steady. Feel your posture grounded. Visualization trains response before reality demands it. Your brain does not fully distinguish between imagined practice and lived experience. When you visualize resilience, you prime it. When you visualize strength, you install it. Mental fortitude also requires emotional regulation. Emotions are natural. They rise quickly, but they do not need to control action. During your hour, practice awareness. Notice frustration. Notice impatience. Notice distraction. Do not suppress them. Observe them. Then choose response deliberately. This gap between emotion and action is power. Most people react instantly. Leaders respond intentionally. You are training that gap. When a task feels overwhelming, pause. Breathe deeply. Slow your heartbeat. Then proceed. This is mastery. You do not eliminate emotion. You manage it. That management builds authority within yourself. Transformation peak 2 begins here. Pressure rises. Imagine obstacles. Imagine setbacks. Imagine moments where others panic. You remain steady. Hold steady. Stand tall. Do not break. Say it internally. Hold steady. Stand tall. Do not break. These words are anchors. When challenges hit, they ground you. Mental fortitude is not loud aggression. It is quiet strength. You do not explode under stress. You stabilize. You do not collapse under criticism. You adjust. You do not retreat under difficulty. You advance deliberately. Every time you remain composed during discomfort, you strengthen mental resilience. Your nervous system learns stability. Your mind learns endurance. Your character deepens. Hold steady. Stand tall. Do not break. Let those lines become instinct. Picture yourself facing pressure 1 year from now. Others look uncertain. You look calm. LM. Not because you are unaffected, but because you trained. Your hour prepared you. Your repetition built resilience. Your focus strengthened discipline. Now pressure does not intimidate you. It activates you. Relief follows intensity. Breathe. Return to calm. Feel the authority in your posture. Mental fortitude creates calm confidence. Not arrogance. Not rigidity. Calm confidence. You know you can handle adversity because you practiced in small ways daily. You trained your mind to stay focused when distractions pulled. You trained your emotions to settle when frustration appeared. You trained your thoughts to align with purpose when doubt surfaced. That training compounds. Just like growth, strengthen the mind before the world tests you, because once tested, you will not have time to build foundation. Foundation must already exist. Inside your hour, you are constructing that foundation. Brick by brick, breath by breath, decision by decision, mental fortitude changes how you interpret events. Setbacks become lessons, criticism becomes refinement, delay becomes preparation. Your perspective strengthens, and perspective shapes reality. When something unexpected occurs, you do not panic. You assess, you adapt, you proceed. This calm authority influences others. They feel your steadiness. They trust your composure. Leadership emerges naturally, not because you demanded it, because you embodied it. Hold steady, stand tall, do not break. Let these commands echo in difficult moments. They are not dramatic, they are deliberate. You are becoming someone unshakable, not rigid, not emotionless, unshakable, flexible under pressure, strong under uncertainty, calm under intensity. Your hour is more than practice. It is preparation. Preparation for responsibility, preparation for leadership, preparation for impact. As this chapter closes, understand something powerful. The world will test everyone, but not everyone prepares. You prepare, you strengthen quietly, you regulate intentionally, you visualize courage, you practice resilience, and when the moment arrives, you will not be surprised. You will be ready, calm, grounded, steady, because mental fortitude was built before it was required. And that quiet preparation changes everything. Chapter 9, Leadership Begins Within. Leadership is often misunderstood. Many imagine influence over others, authority, titles, recognition, but true leadership begins where no one is watching. It begins within. Before you lead a team, you lead your habits. Before you guide a vision, you guide your focus. Before you influence others, you influence your own decisions. Personal leadership precedes external leadership. This is not a theory. It is a law of growth. If you cannot command your time, how will you command a vision? If you cannot regulate your emotions, how will you stabilize a room? If you cannot follow through privately, how will you inspire trust publicly? Leadership begins with structure. Structure is not restriction. It is direction. It is the framework that protects your growth. When you protect your hour daily, you are building structure. You are saying, this time belongs to purpose. That decision may seem small, but it builds credibility. Credibility with yourself. Self-credibility is powerful. Every time you honor your commitment to your hour, you strengthen internal trust. You begin to believe your own words. You begin to respect your own promises. And when you respect your promises, others eventually do too. You lead yourself through structure. Structure means showing up when it is inconvenient. Structure means completing tasks even when enthusiasm fades. Structure means finishing what you start. Without structure, discipline dissolves. Without discipline, consistency collapses. Without consistency, leadership cannot stand. The first person you must be able to lead is you. Ask yourself honestly, do I trust myself to follow through? If the answer feels uncertain, that is not failure. It is opportunity. Opportunity to build reliability. Reliability is the backbone of leadership. Reliable people do not rely on mood. They rely on standards. They do not wait for clarity. They create clarity. They do not hesitate when decisions are required. They decide. Lead. That word carries weight. Lead. It does not shout. It commands calmly. To lead yourself means you take responsibility. No blaming circumstances. No shifting accountability. You ask, what is my role in this? Then you act. Decide. Decision eliminates drift. Indecision drains energy. When you delay decisions, you create mental clutter. When you decide, you create direction. Leaders decide, not recklessly, but decisively. You will not always have perfect information. You will not always feel certain, but you move forward with intention. Follow through. This is where many fall short. Beginnings are easy. Follow through is rare. To follow through is to finish what you committed to, even when novelty fades, even when a use is absent, even when obstacles appear. When you follow through daily in your protected hour, you reinforce identity. You are someone who completes. You are someone who honors commitment. You are someone who leads from within. There is a quiet dignity in that. Not dramatic, not loud, steady. Your hour is more than productivity. It is leadership training. Inside that hour, you practice decision-making. You practice self-regulation. You practice execution. Each practice strengthens authority. Authority over self precedes authority over others. There will be days when your structure is challenged, unexpected events, fatigue, distraction. In those moments, you prove your leadership. Do you adjust responsibly, or do you abandon commitment? Leaders adapt without surrendering standard. They remain flexible in method, firm in principle. Your principle is simple. Protect the hour. Lead. Decide. Follow through. When you act on these commands consistently, something shifts inside you. You stop identifying as someone trying to improve. You begin identifying as someone reliable. Reliability is powerful. It creates internal stability. When your mind knows you will show up, hesitation weakens. When your habits confirm your words, doubt decreases. Reliability builds confidence. Confidence builds influence. Influence begins quietly. Others notice consistency. They feel stability in your presence. They sense clarity in your decisions. That presence is not accidental. It was built in protected hours. You do not need a stage to practice leadership. You need structure. Every morning you choose discipline, you lead. Every time you resist distraction, you lead. Every time you regulate emotion under stress, you lead. Leadership begins within. And once it begins, it radiates outward. Imagine yourself 12 months from now. You have honored your hour daily. Your standards are non-negotiable. Your word carries weight. When you say you will do something, it gets done. That reliability becomes part of your reputation. Not because you announced it, because you embodied it. Others begin trusting you with responsibility. Not because you demanded it, because you demonstrated capacity. That capacity was built privately, in silent repetition, in consistent execution. Leadership is not charisma alone. It is credibility. Credibility is built through follow-through. Your old identity may have struggled with inconsistency, starting strong, fading quickly, making promises, breaking them quietly. That version of you is not condemned. It was untrained. Now you are training. Now you are structuring. Now you are installing reliability. Each hour you complete becomes proof. Proof builds belief. Belief builds identity. Identity builds destiny. Lead. Decide. Follow through. Repeat those commands until they become instinct. When uncertainty appears, decide. When distraction appears, lead. When fatigue appears, follow through. There will be moments when leadership feels heavy. Responsibility can feel intense, but responsibility builds strength. When you hold yourself accountable, you gain power. You gain control over direction. You gain clarity over purpose. Without self-leadership, ambition remains wishful thinking. With self-leadership, ambition becomes action. Your hour is a laboratory for leadership. You experiment with discipline. You refine decision-making. You strengthen consistency. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You stop asking whether you should act. You act. You stop debating commitment. You commit. You stop seeking permission. You proceed. That internal authority shapes posture. It shapes tone. It shapes presence. Leadership is felt before it is declared. When you walk into a room with self-command, people notice. Not because you are loud, because you are grounded. Grounded leaders create stability. Stability attracts trust. Trust builds influence. Influence expands impact. But it all begins within. Ask yourself, am I leading myself today? Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Today, in this hour, in this decision, in this moment. Leadership is not one grand act. It is thousands of small responsible choices. It is protecting standards when convenience tempts compromise. It is acting with integrity when no one is measuring. It is choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. When you do this daily, you create alignment. Alignment between thought and action. Alignment between promise and performance. Alignment between vision and discipline. Alignment is powerful. It reduces internal conflict. It increases clarity. It strengthens conviction. And conviction fuels leadership. You are not chasing authority. You are earning it. You earn it through structure, through decision, through follow-through. Imagine facing a challenge 1 year from now. Others look to you for direction, not because of a title, because of your track record. They know you are steady. They know you are disciplined. They know you lead yourself. That trust W, as built in protected hours. Your reliability speaks louder than your words. You do not need to convince. Your actions already have. Leadership begins within. And as you continue stacking hours, your internal authority grows. You stop reacting impulsively. You pause before responding. You choose words carefully. You act intentionally. That self-command radiates outward. Your family feels it. Your colleagues feel it. Your environment shifts because you shift it. You are becoming someone who does not drift. Someone who does not collapse under minor pressure. Someone who does not postpone responsibility. Lead. Decide. Follow through. Let those words echo in every challenge. When temptation appears to delay, decide. When difficulty appears, lead. When fatigue appears, follow through. This rhythm builds identity. Identity builds reputation. Reputation builds opportunity. Opportunity builds influence. But never forget where it began. 1 hour, 1 structure, 1 daily commitment. You are not waiting for leadership to be granted. You are cultivating it inside your protected hour, inside your disciplined routine, inside your quiet repetition. There is something powerful about knowing you can rely on yourself. It reduces anxiety. It increases calm. It builds courage. When you trust your own discipline, you move boldly because you know you will support your own decision. You will not abandon yourself halfway. You will not retreat at the first obstacle. You will not collapse under mild pressure. You will lead. Leadership begins within. And as you strengthen it daily, you realize something profound. You are no longer hoping to become capable. You are practicing capability. You are not aspiring to reliability. You are demonstrating reliability. You are not dreaming of influence. You are installing integrity. Lead. Decide. Follow through. Let those commands guide your actions. Because the leader you are becoming does not wait for perfect conditions. The leader you are becoming creates direction. And as your internal leadership solidifies, you prepare for the next elevation. A standard so firm it becomes non-negotiable. Chapter 10, The New Standard. There comes a moment in every transformation when effort shifts into identity. At first you were trying to focus, trying to stay consistent, trying to protect your hour. Now something feels different. You are no longer experimenting with discipline. You are installing a standard. A standard is not a temporary push. It is not an emotional wave. It is a line drawn clearly. The hour is no longer optional. It is non-negotiable. This is where real power begins, because negotiation is where momentum dies. When you debate whether to show up, you weaken your authority. When you argue with your commitment, you invite inconsistency. When you leave room for quitting enters. Remove the debate. The hour is fixed. Like sunrise, like gravity, like truth, you do not debate sunrise. You do not debate gravity. You do not debate your standard. There is strength in that clarity. Earlier, you built discipline. Now discipline builds you. Earlier, you protected the hour intentionally. Now the hour protects your identity automatically. Habit solidifies identity. Identity stabilizes action. Action produces results. Results reinforce identity. The cycle becomes self-sustaining. At this stage, something changes internally. You do not wake up asking whether you feel like working. You wake up knowing what must be done. There is no emotional negotiation, only execution. This is maturity. This is evolution. Your old self searched for comfort before action. Your new self understands that action creates comfort. Your old self hesitated. Your new self moves. You operate at higher standards now. Higher standards are not loud. They are quiet and firm. You expect more from yourself, not out of pressure, out of respect. Respect for your potential. Respect for your discipline. Respect for your growth. When standards rise, excuses lose power. Excuses once felt reasonable. Now they feel weak because they no longer align with your identity. You are not someone who drifts. You are not someone who delays. You are not someone who quits quietly. You are someone who finishes. This is the shift. No debate with quitting. Quitting is not dramatic. It is subtle. It whispers, "Skip today. You deserve a break." It will not matter. But you see clearly now. You understand compound effect. You understand identity. You understand leadership. So you remove the conversation. The answer is already decided. You show up. When discipline becomes non-negotiable, energy shifts. You no longer waste mental strength arguing. You preserve mental strength for execution. That is efficiency. That is power. Your hour becomes sacred, not because it is intense, but because it is consistent. Consistency builds inevitability, and inevitability creates confidence. Imagine yourself 1 year into this new standard. You no longer question your work ethic. You no longer doubt your follow-through. You no longer rely on bursts of inspiration. You rely on rhythm, and rhythm creates momentum. Momentum creates inevitability. Your progress is no longer fragile. It is durable because it rests on habit. Habit is powerful. Habit reduces friction. Habit reduces resistance. Habit removes decision fatigue. When the hour becomes habit, your mind stops resisting. It begins cooperating. This is the turning point. Transformation peak 3 rises here. There will be days when fatigue returns, days when doubt attempts to resurface, days when external pressure intensifies. And this time, your response is stronger. Keep going. Say it internally. Keep going when discomfort appears. Keep going when distraction tempts. Keep going. Don't stop. Not halfway. Not when progress feels slow. Not when recognition is absent. Don't stop, because stopping resets momentum. Stopping reopens debate. Stopping weakens standard. Raise the bar. If your hour feels comfortable, refine it. Deepen focus. Increase precision. Challenge skill. Raise the bar. Growth does not plateau when standards rise. It accelerates. Keep going. Don't stop. Raise the bar. Let those commands echo through your discipline. You are no longer proving something to others. You are proving something to yourself. You are proving that your word means something. You are proving that your discipline is real. You are proving that your identity is installed. There is calm power in that realization. Not excitement, certainty. Certainty that you can rely on yourself. Certainty that you will act even when unseen. Certainty that your standards do not fluctuate with mood. When quitting no longer exists as an option, clarity increases. There is no energy spent on alternative. There is only forward motion. Forward motion builds confidence. Confidence builds leadership. Leadership builds impact. Your standard now protects your future. It shields you from regression. It anchors you during pressure. It stabilizes you during uncertainty. You operate at higher standards now. That means your time is valued. Your attention is guarded. Your commitments are honored. You are not rigid. You are disciplined. There is a difference. Rigidity resists flexibility. Discipline adapts while maintaining principle. Your principle is clear. The hour is protected. No debate. This is not about intensity every day. It is about consistency every day. Some days will feel powerful. Some days will feel quiet. Both count, because showing up counts. Execution counts. Follow through counts. You are not chasing motivation. You are installing identity. The more you repeat your standard, the more natural it becomes. Soon, others may notice your steadiness, your composure, your consistency. They may ask how you maintain it. The answer is simple. You removed negotiation. You removed quitting. You raised the bar. And you kept going. There will always be reasons to stop. But you now understand something deeper. Stopping is not aligned with who you are becoming. And identity is stronger than temptation. When you align with identity, decisions simplify. You do not ask, should I? You ask, is this aligned? If the answer is yes, you proceed. If the answer is no, you decline. That clarity builds efficiency, and efficiency builds excellence. Excellence is not perfection. It is consistent high standard. You operate at higher standards now. Higher standards in effort, higher standards in focus, higher standards in integrity, higher standards in follow-through. This is leadership over self. This is maturity. This is power. Keep going. Don't stop. Raise the bar. Say it again. Keep going. Don't stop. Raise the bar. Let those commands energize discipline without aggression, without chaos, just firm clarity. You are not exhausted by your standard. You are strengthened by it. Because when discipline becomes normal, resistance fades. You feel stable, grounded, certain. There is no internal war anymore. There is alignment. Alignment reduces stress. Alignment increases momentum. Alignment amplifies confidence. At this stage, you are no longer fighting your old self daily. That battle weakens because your new identity is stronger. You are not trying to be consistent. You are consistent. You are not hoping to improve. You are improving. You are not wishing to grow. You are growing. This is the new standard, and it is non-negotiable. Listener, pause for a moment. Feel your posture. Feel your breathing. Feel your strength. Say it clearly. I decide who I become. Not circumstances, not mood, not distraction. I decide who I become. That sentence is authority. That sentence is responsibility. That sentence is freedom. You decide, and once you decide, you act. Keep going. Don't stop. Raise the bar, because this is not a temporary chapter. This is installation. The new standard is not something you maintain for a season. It is something you embody. From here forward, the hour is not something you try to protect. It is something you honor, without debate, without hesitation, without retreat. And as this new standard solidifies, something powerful emerges. You begin to see the final separation clearly. The separation between who you were and who you have become. Chapter 11, You versus Your Old Self. There comes a moment in every transformation when the conflict becomes clear, not external, internal. It is not you versus circumstance. It is not you versus other people. It is you versus your old self, the version of you who preferred comfort over growth, the version who negotiated standard, the version who hesitated at the edge of discomfort. That version is not evil. It is familiar. It kept you safe. It kept you predictable. It kept you within limits that felt manageable. But safety is not expansion. Predictability is not leadership. And manageable limits are not destiny. This is the final internal confrontation. You sit quietly. You feel the strength you have built. And you feel something else. A subtle pull backward. A voice that says, you have done enough. A whisper that says, relax your standard. A suggestion that says, return to ease. This is the old self speaking. It does not shout. It persuades. Old self, you were fine before. Life was comfortable, why push further? New self, comfort is not growth. Old self, you are already disciplined. You can loosen your grip. New self, standards do not loosen, they elevate. Old self, what if you fail at the next level? New self, what if I never attempted? This dialogue is not dramatic. It is constant. The old self wants familiarity. The disciplined self wants expansion. The old self seeks ease. The disciplined self seeks strength. The old self remembers the pleasure of drifting. The disciplined self remembers the pride of progress. Feel the tension. It rises quietly. You have changed, but the past has not disappeared. Habits once comfortable still exist as memory. Temptation still visits. Doubt still appears. This is the test, not of skill, of identity. Who are you now? The old self argues with emotion. You deserve a break. This is too intense. Others are not working this hard. The disciplined self responds with clarity. I deserve growth. I am capable of intensity. My standard is internal. The emotional intensity rises. You feel the pull of familiarity, the warm memory of easier days. No structure, no pressure, no high expectation. But then you remember something else. The frustration, the drift, the quiet disappointment, the feeling of unrealized potential. That memory sharpens you. The confrontation deepens. Old self, you are changing too much. New self, I am evolving. Old self, you are becoming rigid. New self, I am becoming reliable. Old self, you might lose comfort. New self, I am gaining strength. There is power in this clarity. You no longer confuse comfort with happiness. You no longer confuse ease with peace. You understand that real peace comes from alignment. Alignment between vision and action. Alignment between word and behavior. Alignment between standard and execution. The old self thrives in excuses. The disciplined self thrives in responsibility. Old self, it is not the perfect time. New self, I create time. Old self, what if it does not work? New self, I work until it does. The rhythm quickens. Choose. Advance. Become. Choose. Advance. Become. This is not poetry. It is instruction. Choose the disciplined voice. Advance despite hesitation. Become the identity you have built. The old self will not disappear quietly. It will offer logic. It will remind you of comfort. It will question your ambition. But now you recognize the pattern. You see it clearly. You do not react emotionally. You observe calmly. You decide deliberately. Choose. When doubt appears. Choose. When fatigue whispers. Choose. When nostalgia for comfort resurfaces. Advance. Step forward even when uncertainty lingers. Advance beyond previous limits. Advance beyond old definitions. Become, not someday, now. Become disciplined. Become reliable. Become steady. The emotional intensity peaks. You feel the weight of the decision. It is not small. It defines trajectory. Your old self is familiar. Your new self is demanding. Familiar feels easy. Demanding feels powerful. Choose. Advance. Become. Say it internally with conviction. Choose. Advance. Become. There is a moment of silence after that declaration. A moment where the old self realizes something. Its authority has weakened. Its arguments no longer convince. Because evidence exists, you have built discipline. You have protected the hour. You have followed through. You have raised the standard. You have strengthened your mind. The old self cannot deny progress. It cannot deny evidence. It cannot deny identity. So it softens. Old self, are you sure? New self, yes. Old self, this is the path. New self, this is the standard. Calm certainty replaces emotional tension. The confrontation ends not with aggression, but with clarity. You are not rejecting your past. You are integrating it. You are grateful for the lessons of comfort, but you are committed to the strength of discipline. You realize something profound. Your old self was necessary. It showed you what stagnation felt like. It taught you the cost of drift. It revealed the weight of unrealized potential. Without it, you would not value growth, but it no longer leads. You lead. The identity shift is complete, not because fear disappeared, but because decision overpowered hesitation. You no longer negotiate with the old voice. You acknowledge it, then you proceed. Choose. Advance. Become. Let that rhythm stay with you. It is not temporary motivation. It is installed identity. Imagine yourself 1 year from now, looking back at this internal confrontation. You will remember the tension. You will remember the pull of comfort. You will remember the clarity, and you will feel gratitude, because this was the moment you fully separated from drift. This was the moment you declared who you are, not by words alone, by commitment. You are no longer someone who seeks permission. You are someone who defines direction. You are no longer someone who waits for validation. You are someone who validates through action. You are no longer someone who avoids discomfort. You are someone who walks through it calmly. The old self is not erased. It is integrated. Its fears understood. Its limits acknowledged, but its authority removed. You stand taller now, not physically, internally. Your posture reflects clarity. Your breathing reflects calm. Your mind reflects alignment. Relief follows confrontation. Not because nothing is challenging, but because identity is settled. You know who you are. You know what you value. You know what you will protect. Calm certainty replaces emotional conflict. There is no need for internal debate. There is no need for justification. There is only forward motion. Choose. Advance. Become. One final time. Choose. advance, become. Let that become instinct. When new challenges arise, you will not restart this confrontation from zero because the foundation is set. You have chosen, you have advanced, you have become, and from this point forward, your energy no longer divides between two identities. It consolidates, it strengthens, it directs. You move forward as one integrated self, disciplined, focused, steady, and as the internal battle settles into calm strength, you prepare for the final integration, because once you defeat the old self, there is only one direction left. Forward. Chapter 12. The person who owns the hour owns the future. Everything you have practiced leads here. The focus, the discipline, the confrontation, the standard, the silence, the resilience. All of it was preparation for mastery. Not flashy mastery, not loud mastery, daily mastery. The person who owns the hour owns the future. Read that slowly in your mind. The person who owns the hour owns the future. This is not exaggeration. This is alignment, because the future is built in units of time, and the smallest meaningful unit you have learned to control is the hour. When you began, the hour felt like effort. Now it feels like authority. You do not chase it, you command it. Ownership is different from participation. Participation is optional. Ownership is respo. And stability. When you own your hour, you stop drifting inside it. You enter with intention. You exit with progress. You understand that every hour contains potential energy. Focused energy becomes momentum. Momentum becomes identity. Identity becomes destiny. Full integration begins now. You understand focus is leverage. You understand discipline stabilizes mood. You understand identity precedes results. You understand silence multiplies strength. You understand compound growth builds inevitability. You understand leadership begins within. You understand standards remove negotiation. You understand the old self no longer lead. All of those lessons merge into one truth. Daily ownership is mastery. Mastery does not mean perfection. It means consistency at a level so stable that progress becomes inevitable. You are not chasing greatness in bursts. You are constructing it in layers. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, not through fantasy, through mathematics. 5 years equals over 1,800 days. If you own 1 hour each of those days, that is over 1,800 focused hours. 1,800 hours directed intentionally toward growth. Skills deepen, clarity sharpens, influence expands, confidence stabilizes. That is not accidental. That is compound ownership. Most people underestimate the power of years. They focus on weeks. They focus on quick results. But you have learned to think long-term. Years of daily ownership create transformation that feels unreal to others. But you will know, it was 1 hour at a time. Picture yourself a decade from now, 10 years of disciplined hours, 10 years of non-negotiable standard, 10 years of quiet preparation. Your presence alone carries weight. Your voice carries authority. Your decisions carry clarity, not because you demanded respect, because you earned depth. This is the compound effect across years. Small actions multiplied by time equal massive results. Your hour is no longer about productivity alone. It is about alignment. Alignment between intention and execution. Alignment between potential and performance. Alignment between who you say you are and who you prove yourself to be. When alignment exists daily, doubt fades. You are no longer questioning your path. You are walking it. Ownership also brings peace, because when you know you have given your hour fully, you release regret. You release guilt. You release frustration. You move into each eve knowing progress was made. That peace compounds too. Stress decreases. Clarity increases. Confidence stabilizes. You become calm under pressure because you are prepared. Prepared through repetition. Prepared through discipline. Prepared through ownership. You no longer wait for perfect conditions. You create progress regardless of condition. You no longer blame distraction. You eliminate it. You no longer fear discomfort. You use it. You no longer negotiate quitting. You remove it. Mastery through daily ownership is quiet. It does not scream. It builds, day by day, hour by hour. The world may not notice immediately, but you feel it. You feel the stability. You feel the growth. You feel the shift from effort to embodiment. You are no longer trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You are no longer attempting to focus. You focus. You are no longer hoping to grow. You are growing. That difference is powerful. There is no internal debate anymore. There is execution. There is alignment. There is calm strength. Now the final transformation peak rises. Energy builds. Everything you learned compresses into this moment. Stand up. Feel your posture change. Focus. Let your attention sharpen. Move. No hesitation. You rise now, not tomorrow, not later. Now, your excuses are gone. They lost authority the moment you chose discipline. Choose greatness, not loudly, not dramatically, deliberately. Stand up. Focus. Move. You rise now. Your excuses are gone. Choose greatness. Say it internally. Stand up. Focus. Move. You rise now. Your excuses are gone. Choose greatness. This is not a motivational surge. This is identity installation. You are no longer someone who waits. You are someone who acts. You are no longer someone who negotiates. You are someone who decides. You are no longer someone who hopes. You are someone who builds. Stand up. Focus. Move. Let the intensity surge one last time. Let every lesson integrate. Discipline. Focus. Silence. Compound growth. Leadership. Standards. Confrontation. Ownership. You rise now. And then, deep calm. The intensity settles. Breathing steady. Mind clear. You are not rushing anymore. You are grounded. You understand something profound. You are no longer trying. Trying implies uncertainty. Trying implies negotiation. Trying implies effort without identity. You are becoming. Becoming implies installation. Becoming implies alignment. Becoming implies inevitability. You are becoming the person who owns the hour. And the person who owns the hour owns the future. There will still be challenges. You will face complexity. You will face pressure. You will face uncertainty. But you will not face them unprepared. Because you train daily. Because you protected your hour. Because you raised your standard. Because you chose discipline over comfort. Because you confronted your old self. Because you built mental fortitude. Because you stacked the days. Because you owned your time. Pause. Reflect on the version of you who began this journey. Uncertain, maybe inconsistent, maybe distracted. That version needed direction. This version provides it. This version does not drift. This version leads. Imagine walking into your future with this identity fully installed. You do not speak loudly. You do not announce transformation. You simply operate differently. Decisions are sharper. Habits are stronger. Focus is deeper. Leadership is natural. The hour remains protected. Always. No debate. No hesitation. You wake up knowing what must be done. You execute. You improve. You rest. You repeat. Years pass. Growth compounds. Influence expands. Confidence stabilizes. Not through luck. Through ownership. The person who owns the hour owns the future. That is you. Not someday. Now. Stand quietly in that truth. Feel the calm authority in your chest. Feel the clarity in your mind. Feel the steadiness in your posture. You are not chasing greatness. You are embodying it. You are no longer reacting to life. You are directing it. You are no longer negotiating standard. You are setting them. You are no longer divided between old and new. You are integrated, disciplined, focused, steady. You are becoming. And as this journey closes, understand one final truth. The transformation was never about time. It was about ownership. Own the hour. Own the day. Own the direction. Own the future. Stand up. Focus. Move. You rise now. Your excuses are gone. Choose greatness. Then breathe. Smile quietly. And begin again tomorrow. Because mastery is not a finish line. It is daily ownership. And you have claimed it. Final conclusion. You are not the same person who began this journey. At first, 1 hour seemed small, almost insignificant, easy to overlook. Now it feels powerful, precise, intentional. You understand something clearly. It was never about time. It was about identity. Time was always available. Minutes were always passing. Days were always moving forward. What changed was you. You stopped waiting. You stopped negotiating. You stopped postponing your potential. You claimed 1 hour, and that hour claimed you back. Pause. Feel that shift. The old version of you drifted. This version directs. The old version reacted. This version decides. You no longer depend on mood. you no longer depend on motivation. You operate calm, focused, disciplined. Imagine your life 1 year from now. Stronger mind, sharper skills, greater influence, deeper confidence, clearer standards. Not because luck found you, because you protected 60 minutes every day, without debate, without drama, with ownership. Say it clearly now. I am ready. I rise. I decide who I become. Let those words settle. This is not temporary motivation. This is transformation. Transformation built quietly, built repeatedly, built through daily ownership. From this moment forward, you do not ask if you feel like working. You do not argue with your standard. You own the hour. And when you own the hour, you own your future. Stand up, protect it, build with it. 1 hour a day can change your life. Now begin. You made it to the end. That already says something about you. Most people stop early. You stayed. If this audiobook challenged you, if it sharpened your focus, if it reminded you of who you're becoming, then don't let this be a one-time moment. This channel exists for people who choose growth, discipline over comfort, clarity over noise, progress over excuses. If you want more audiobooks like this, more mindset training, more leadership, more inner strength, subscribe, like this video so it reaches the people who need it, and share it with someone who's ready to rise but hasn't found the words yet. Stay consistent, protect your mind, and keep moving forward. This is only the beginning.